detail. Good detail. Yep. I didn't know that. So okay.
Yeah. So every once in a while, I say, Brian, you need to sleep more. You need to take a seat down and make sure that you're on top of everything.
At least a couple more things.
Yeah, but I think the little one just is the extra demand.
Oh, absolutely. He's talked about wanting to be more of a father, more of a
Yeah,
as you get older.
you're right. Right.
So he figures my price is going to be
Yeah, at the expense of some other things and his own health sometimes.
okay.
And having been an academic for many years myself, I know those pressures are a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know,
That's true. Yep.
so he's got like all kinds of stuff coming at him.
I'm sure God gives him that.
So yeah. Anyway, we'll see how it goes.
Look forward to it. I look forward to it.
Good morning, and welcome to this service of worship at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson. My name is Thomas Gregg, and I will be doing triple duty today as the worship associate and as a delegate to last summer's assembly. And poor Brian Moon has a bad cold, so I'll be leading some of the songs as well. Joining me today are the other delegates to last summer's UU General Assembly. Today is Sunday, November 24th, 2024. Our community is striving to become as varied as the blooms of the Sonoran Desert. Whoever you have been, we welcome you. Whoever you are, we welcome you. And whoever you are becoming, we welcome you. And I invite you to bring your whole self here now. The CDC has determined that COVID is now endemic. The virus is not going away. Even though wearing masks is no longer required, you are, of course, still welcome to wear a mask. If you are feeling sick, we encourage you, like Brian, we encourage you to join us on YouTube. At the start of the pandemic, our congregation was very committed to keeping vaccinated and boosted. For all our sakes, especially for those who are most vulnerable among us, please let's maintain that commitment. I got my own vaccine not too long ago. There are gender-specific bathrooms out the glass doors behind you and to your right. And there is also one accessible and gender-inclusive restroom in the alcove behind the AV desk. As we move more deeply into the sacred space of worship, please know that you are indeed welcome here. Whether you walked in, rolled, or skipped, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, whatever cultural and ethnic background you claim, whomever you love, however you identify your gender, and in whatever way you choose to express it, you are truly welcome here. So now we repeat these words from last summer's General Assembly Sunday worship service. Take a moment to feel your body connected to the place where you are, as we join our spirits with yours from around the globe. Take a moment in gratitude for the land that upholds and sustains you, for its many stewards across generations, and for the spirit that roots and connects us each to each in a great web of living and loving and worshiping. Come, let us gather. Come, let us gather. And together we now light our chalice, the symbol of our faith, in the cup of community that holds us tenderly and the bright flame of spirit that connects us inextricably. Our chalice, like many others in our wider community, is made of hammered metal with a round base, a platform holding a candle, and two circles arching their way around the flame. We invite you now to join us in lighting our chalice and to let the energy of this flame power our faith with passion and warmth. If you are joining us on YouTube and have a chalice or candle nearby, please light it now as we light our chalice here in the sanctuary. So now, in my role as song leader, don't I look like Brian now? We will do Spirit of Life. It's hymn 123 in the gray hymnal, but you probably all know these words, so. Please stand as you're able. Spirit of life, the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Please be seated. Our earth is strong. It can hold our pain and our joy, our love and our anger. Our shared bowl, which we use for joys and sorrows each week, is strong enough to hold the big rocks, our collective celebrations and mournings, and also the smaller stones that will be added to signify our individual joys and sorrows. My own two joys this week are both musical. Hearing my University of Arizona musical theater students sing their semester recital last Tuesday night, and then that terrific concert by Holly Near on Thursday night. In this time of reflection and contemplation, let us remember those desert people who came first in this place. We honor the Hohokam, the Yavapai, the Tohono O'odham, the Yaqui, and the people who no longer exist as tribal entities here in Arizona. We who live in the desert know that water is a life-sustaining and scarce resource. Let's remember those who are walking through our desert right now without access to water. We also bring to mind those who are seeking to assure greater access to water in the desert. We pour water from a plastic jug, similar to the ones used by our ministry partner, No More Deaths. If you have a joy or sorrow to share, I invite you to go to menti.com and put in the code 1232159. And if any of you here in the sanctuary wish to put your thoughts up on Menti, Reverend Jamili is here and she can help you do that. And if you're in person, I invite you to come up now to the table and create ripples of hope by putting in a stone into the water to symbolize your joys and sorrows.
And now I will share the joys and sorrows from Menti. My 6th grade grandchild was born Thursday in Ohio. Oh, my 6th great grandchild, my apologies, doesn't make any sense. My 6th great grandchild was born Thursday in Ohio. Mother and daughter are doing well. Blessings on them. Looking forward to spending time with extended family. Yes, the season is upon us. I'm filled with joy knowing I will soon depend. I am filled with joy knowing I will soon adventure, quality time. Oh, spend adventure, quality time, and Thanksgiving holiday together. Can you tell this is my first time doing this? Whew. Sorrow for the untimely loss of my brother, George. We will miss him. For the realization that I must flow with life and accept whatever joy or challenge it brings my way, to accept it with grace and faith. Indeed. I am grateful to be here today.
A reading from All Is Not Lost by Reverend Victoria Safford. Friend, go to the window, open the door, move away from the screen, pocket your phone. For just a moment, sometime today, let this November air mess with your hair. Caress your crumpled, tear-streaked face and kiss your bare hands, as it has since you were small, as it will as you grow old. All is not lost. Go to the window, open the door, close your eyes. Breathe deep, drink deep, the nourishing, life-giving air, and let it be spirit inside you. Breathe in life and breathe out again life. Breathe more. This is your life and our life together, you and I, and all the beloveds at risk now as never before. Humans and trees, rivers and land, animals, children and birds. Breathe in for love of them. Breathe in for love of us all. Protection, resolve. And when you're able, when you're ready, whenever you can, breathe out a prayer of hope. This may take a while. We have to hold our breath a long while, gulping in air as if we were desperate, which today, my friends, we are. Breathe in rage and fear and fury, bone weariness, grief, panic, disgust. Breathe out a whisper, a sliver, a shiver, a single frail molecule of hope. To be carried like milkweed, God only knows where. You know this and must not forget. Still and always, we are held within, and we comprise a larger love. We are held within, and we comprise the mighty, irrefutable persistence and resistance of our ancestors, and the urgent, laughing beauty of our children. We are held within, and we comprise holy and ferocious power. Spirit breath moves through us still, inspiring, insisting. Any act of love we undertake henceforth will be a revolution. Breathe deep and notice now who's hurting, now who is in danger, who needs your prayers of hope, and more than that, way more, in order to survive. Hold out your brave and loving hands stronger than you know, your brave and beating heart, and do not, under any circumstances, let go of beauty and truth. Do not let go of faith and hope and love. We are held within, and we comprise a holiness no tyrant can diminish or demean.
So now we begin our delegate reflections, and I'll be first. As I begin, as all speakers did at the General Assembly, with a visual description of myself for anyone who's visually impaired. I'm a tall, white, older man with gray hair and a gray beard. I wear blue glasses, and I'm wearing a white shirt and an Argyle sweater. First, I want to thank the people who chose me to represent UUCT at the General Assembly. Being new to the UU community, I wanted to learn more about the wider world of the organization. Adding my name to the list of potential delegates was part of that desire, but I wasn't really expecting to be chosen. Paying the $400 just to attend a virtual conference seemed to suggest some privilege in who was admitted to the proceedings, but I was willing to invest that much in representing this beloved community. The actual online event was mostly what I expected after years of pandemic meetings and other virtual conferences. Lots of discussion over language and wording seemed both petty and important, but especially valuable to folks who had strong feelings and needed to express them to the wider community. So many subgroup discussions looked overwhelming, but none of them held any real interest for me. The presentation of the National Financial Budget was surprisingly compelling. It explained well and gave a clear overview of what the church actually pays for. The Article 2 vote was also fascinating to observe. Would it pass? With the support of UU friends in Tucson and elsewhere, I was happy to vote yes, and I was happy that it did pass. Finally, the best part of the entire assembly for me was the final Sunday service. In contrast to the rest of the assembly, which left me feeling isolated and distant, it was full of great messages and was a deeply meaningful representation of the wider church. Beloved communities everywhere, what a joy to see them flash across my iPad.
I am white with white hair, chubby, 80-ish, and dressed in a deep teal colored dress. I live on the unceded land previously occupied by the Tohono O'odham, Yaqui, Apache, and Hohokam. My first GA was in 1988. The venue changed from Phoenix to Palm Springs because Arizona would not enact an MLK holiday, and many of the UUs were boycotting the strait. Next was Dallas-Fort Worth in 2005. Then in 2012, the Justice GA in Phoenix, where I spent most of my time tending the waste bins. This for trash, this for composting, this recycling, and this one for the pigs. A virtual GA was a new experience for me. I noted over 900 people on a Zoom meeting. I was awed by the sophistication of the technology, but it also got in the way. Pre-recorded items were interspersed with the business meeting, and I found them generally inauthentic. Before speaking, each person described him or herself, as you heard, and there was an issue that arose from using the terms cis-male and cis-female. Another issue that arose was mentioning the unceded land we were coming from. It was considered a cultural appropriation, so some stopped. I thought that was a shame because by mentioning the people and the tribes that lived in the area where the speaker lived, people were learning about our history. Not so long ago, nobody knew their names. The unfamiliar sounds tripped up our tongues, but slowly we learn to say the words with confidence. Our children will be wiser, knowing that they were not the first people to live in the region. Maybe we should be paying attention to the earth. We can ask people to name their watershed and their ecosystem. Here we live in the Sonoran Desert and the Santa Cruz watershed. Progressive stacking only covered the first 2 slots for the people wishing to speak. The idea is to give marginalized groups more opportunities to talk. I felt that the southwestern United States was marginalized. I don't believe anyone was permitted to speak from Arizona, Nevada, Utah, or Idaho. Most of the speakers came from Massachusetts, Florida, and Texas. Do they really have a larger percentage of the UU population than, say, California? I was very disappointed that both the Peace Amendment and the Reason Amendment were defeated. You may remember that last spring, Howard Tully worked to get the 25 churches needed to sign a petition to get the amendment on the agenda. After the congregational discussion, and our board voted to sign on. Thank you, Howard, for your efforts. That's an interesting way to put the 2 parts of your name together. I don't know. Other people do that. The argument made against the Peace Amendment was that peace had been used to stifle dissent. Just be quiet so we can keep the peace. To me, that was such a distortion on many levels of peace, from personal peace, interpersonal, congregation, community, national, international. Also strange to my ears was the call for doing away with nonviolence. It hasn't worked. I would disagree with that. I recognize that there has to be a political and legal structure in which the nonviolence takes place in order for it to be successful. And sometimes that structure does not exist or is too weak. There was also an undercurrent that 6 petals were enough. That was the main argument against reason and responsible search for truth and meaning. We didn't need another petal. I was saddened by the defeat of this amendment, as I think it is the statement that helps scientists and engineers see UUism as a home for them. The new values are warm fuzzies and not anchored in scientific method and search for truth. The value would have read, reason. We search for truth and meaning, informed by reason, evidence, and the results of science, motivated by wonder, curiosity, and compassion. We covenant to listen to and respect the views of others and to remain open to new ideas. That was defeated. One amendment passed with 90+% affirmative vote. It was equity. Every person is inherently worthy. The woman advocating for this had proposed this amendment last year, and it had failed. And so this past year, she had talked to lots of people, groups, and churches, and together they had crafted a sentence to read, equity. We declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. This wording got past the problem of inherent worth, being seen by some as a reference to a slave's value at the auction block. When it came time to advocate for and against Article 2 amendment, it seemed to me that all the people who argued for the amendment were ministers, and all the people who argued against it were lay people, some representing the vote of their entire congregation. It passed by about 80%, way over the 66% required. It's a new day, and now we're introduced to Jet Pig, a way to remember the 6 values. I hope Jamili is going to explain that to you. How much will things change as a result of the new principles/values? People were asking that question, and some thought, not much. That we would continue the way we are. It would mainly be in the literature and in what we tell people new to UU. It will change what seminarians are taught, and eventually that will spill out in sermons and other aspects of the church. What I think is important is that we follow the democratic process. Those that lost the vote respect the outcome and move forward.
Hi, my name is Celeste, and I'm standing in for Brian on this song. How many of you were at the incredible Holly Near concert? Woo! So you will know this song. I will not sing it like Holly Near did, but I will do my best. So please stand if you are willing and able, and sing with us. I am open and I am willing. Bob and I will be singing the verses.
Okay, yep.
Okay, Danielle. I'm open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. There is hurting in my family. There is sorrow in my town. There is a panic all across the nation. There is wailing the whole world round. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. May the children see more clearly. May the elders be more wise. May the winds of change caress us, even though they burn our eyes. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. Give me a mighty oak to hold my confusion. Give me a desert to hold my fears. Give me a sunset to hold my wonder. Give me an ocean to hold my tears. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm the Reverend Lisa McDaniel Hutchings, a retired minister in affiliation with this congregation. I am a white woman in my 60s with shoulder-length hair, wearing a black dress and sweater with a colorful tree of life stole. For nearly 50 years, the Unitarian Universalist principles have been used to explain Unitarian Universalism to others and to our own children. The main business before the UUA General Assemblies in 2023 and 2024 was the revision of Article 2 of our association's bylaws. This included the UU principles and the sources of our living tradition. On a seat somewhere near you, you will find a handout with the new language for all of Article 2 as adopted at the General Assembly 2024. It is there for you to refer to during the service, and feel free to take it with you or leave it on your seat at the end of the worship. I participated in the business sessions around the revision at GA 2023 in Pittsburgh and bought into the process, voting on each amendment and voting for and looking forward to continuing that process at GA 2024. I did not hear much about the process in the intervening year, but I was excited to catch up at GA. During the Thursday afternoon session, during a break, an advertisement flashed on the screen. As you've heard, this GA was all and only online. And that ad piqued my interest. It was from a group called UU the Conversation. There we go, thanks. I never had heard of them, but I went to their website. After all, what could be more Unitarian Universalist than a conversation? And there, reading their website at General Assembly, I had a crisis of faith. The first thing I heard in a video by Reverend Rick Hoyt was, "These revisions change our faith." What I found there were 6 reasons not to pass the proposed revisions, reasons that I had not ever considered. I had been a UU sheep, blithely following along with the UUA plan without really thinking for myself. Wake up, I thought. Thinking rationally about things is something UUs are known for, right? So I thought, don't swallow these 6 reasons to vote no either without doing your own thinking about them. But see if there is any merit to them. I wanted to balance the UUA revision process with the UU the conversation perspective and find my own way through. In each of the 6 reasons stated, there was a kernel of truth, but I needed to weigh that kernel and decide if it was reason enough to vote no. I'm going to share with you 3 of the reasons that were most important to me. Next slide. There it is. The revision as it stands is inferior in style and content to current language. Well, whoops, now we have all 3. Trust me, it's the first one listed. I listed all the value words from the UU principles and then searched the new shared values, the main words, and the associated paragraphs. I found all of the value words from the principles in the new version except peace. There was an amendment, as you've heard, to add peace at GA, but several UU young adults of color spoke against the amendment, saying that they were often blamed or shamed for disturbing the peace. I found that troubling. I personally find the wording of the UU principles to be beautiful, elegant, in a logical order, and of parallel construction, and poetic. However, When Reverend Bethany offered a worship last spring about change, I was surprised that the congregation could not name all 7 of the Unitarian Universalist principles. Obviously, most of us have not memorized them. So perhaps the actual words are not as important as the named values. Not a reason for me to vote no, after all. Next screen. Oh, okay, I can't see it there. My confusion, sorry. The revision fails to define our faith. This, I believe, is true. And neither did the principles. The revision, like the principles, are value statements. And while I believe that these values are what we hold in common and what unites us as a faith tradition, values are not the same thing as theology. The theologies and a-theologies in Unitarian Universalist congregations are diverse, earth-centered, liberal Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, other world religions, humanism, science, mysticism, paganism, and more. Shared values unite us, and diverse belief systems we accept and are grateful for. Definitely not a reason for me to vote no. And third, the revision fundamentally changes our faith, which is what put me in a panic in the first place. I agree that this revision changes our association in a couple of ways. First, the UUA seems to be broadening its role in the association by stating more priorities than before. We will have to see what that looks like in reality. Secondly, the shared values are couched in different language. In the principles, we covenanted to affirm and promote the values stated using more aspirational language. The new shared values use covenanting language in each paragraph and then an action statement. In each value statement, we are promising to do something. It seems right to promise to walk our talk, and yet these are not small goals. As the attorney for the UUA stated at GA, and I am paraphrasing, these changes to Article 2 do not fundamentally change our faith tradition. However, she went on to say, as review and revision move into Article 3, we will need to stay vigilant in the section on congregational polity. We want that to stay unaltered. Again, not a reason for me to vote no on Article 2. Next slide, please. In the end, I believe that the work of the Article 2 Commission, which was very inclusive of young adults and people of color, worked in good faith. And I believe that we followed the most democratic process that we were able to manage. Finding no compelling reasons to vote no among the the Conversations offerings, I decided to follow the words of one of our hymns. Revere the past, but trust the dawning future more. Go forward in the search for truth, adventure boldly and explore. Thinking critically for myself, I voted yes.
I am Stephen Kranek, a member of this congregation and a delegate to General Assembly this past year. I'm an average height, white male, septuagenarian, wearing wire-rimmed glasses, and what hair I have left on my head is kind of light brown, graying at the temples. I'm wearing a very colorful Slovak folk vest, along with a yellow shirt and black pants. Following the changes adopted by the GA 2024 delegates, UU Minister Reverend Dr. Michael Tino wrote in part the following to their congregation. We are now officially guided by love at the center of our faith and by our commitments to justice, inclusivity, equity, pluralism, generosity, and transformation. What we need to be doing is living into our new values and covenant. We should be wondering how we can make the democratic processes, in the plural, used at GA more inclusive. We've already incorporated the use of progressive stack that prioritizes the voices of people from marginalized groups for the first 2 speaking spots into our deliberations. We might be discussing how to center our conversations, even our contentious debates, on love rather than on suspicion or mistrust. Perhaps we could be learning to live our value of pluralism, in which not all of us have to believe the same thing in order to be bound in community. Ultimately, we need to understand this change as just another transformation in a long line of adaptations our faith has embraced over the centuries, one that will ultimately be replaced when we learn something better. Note the action words that Reverend Tino uses in their communication. What we need to be doing. We should be wondering. We might be discussing. Perhaps we can be learning. Following GA 2024, how does this congregation respond to a Unitarian Universalist faith now officially guided by love at the center? How do we support the use of inclusive democratic processes, in the plural, to make decisions in this congregation? What does this mean for our congregation that follows the use of one democratic process, Robert's Rules of Order, in its bylaws? Will we incorporate progressive stack that prioritizes the voices of people from marginalized groups in our deliberations? How? When? Another innovation in GA this year was daily cohort groups, UUs from around the world, who met to foster supportive community and share common goals and interests. My cohort was Mosaic, MOSAIC, which was formed in response to the recommendations of the UUA Commission on Institutional Changes 2020 report, Widening the Circle of Concern. The Mosaic is an online hub of connection, resources, and support, which offers 1, a lifespan anti-racism curriculum, 2, an anti-racism resource library, 3, learning and practice communities, 4, a guide and connections for Black, Indigenous, and people of color UUs, and 5, Mosaic congregations, a certification program similar to the Welcoming Congregation program, which will emphasize lifespan learning in diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-oppression, centered on worship, congregational culture, leadership transformation, and justice ministry. It will launch officially in 2025. Are we, as a congregation, interested in becoming a Mosaic congregation? On November 12th, 2024, after the national elections, Reverend Dr. Michael Tino wrote the following. It has been a week since the U.S. joined the growing parade of nations embracing far-right nationalism and xenophobia. It's ugly, beloveds. We are sliding quickly into fascism that seeks to assert control over bodily autonomy, reverse hard-won decisions on marriage equality, challenge birthright citizenship for non-white people, and so many more ugly things. My faith teaches me to center love, justice, and equity. It asks me to grow and transform in relationships with others. He continues, we need to cultivate a global ethos of empathy, of community care, of rejecting calls to divide humanity into us and them, or us and other. We need to reject the notion that there is a finite amount of freedom and human rights in this world, so that when some people get more, others must get less. We need to reject dehumanization of groups by people who claim victimhood and then use that claim to perpetrate violence. But how? I don't really know yet. I know that we start by living our faith in the world. We'll figure out what comes next together. General Assembly 2024 was an assembly of change. What will we as a congregation learn, discuss, wonder, and do following GA 2024? The mission statement of this congregation begins with these three words: we transform ourselves. In this sanctuary, in this very spot, last Thursday night, we sang these words with Holly Near, and we all just sang them this morning. May the winds of change caress us, even though it burns our eyes. I am open and I am willing, so lift me up to the light of change. Are you open? Are you willing? Can you feel yourself being lifted up right now?
Thank you, Danielle. However you participated in today's service, our congregation depends upon you for your love, your time, and your financial support. We should not allow the offering that we take up each Sunday to become a stale habit. Remember that it is an opportunity to recommit a part of your financial wealth to this place and this congregation. For those of you here in person, the ushers will soon be passing the collection baskets among you. And for those of you watching us from afar, you can send a check to our church office or give online at uuctucson.org/donate. As the offering is collected, announcements about upcoming activities will appear on the screen. I will invite our board member to come up. And while she does that, I will be the first to invite you to social hour after the service in Goddard Hall, which is out the double doors behind you and to your left. There will be coffee, iced tea, lemonade, snacks, and good company. Social hour food and refreshments are free for all, and donations are appreciated to cover our costs. If you're new and you want to stay in touch with us, you can fill out a guest information card in the Welcome Center in Goddard Hall, and you can also find a virtual guest information card in the newcomers section of our website. I have one announcement here that says that our yard sale last weekend raised $2,520. And many thanks to everyone who helped out and to everyone who donated items.
Good morning. I'm Carolyn Saunders, a member of your Board of Trustees. I love today's service with all of this information that these excellent attendees of GA, these delegates, brought back to us. And the board will be selecting delegates for the next General Assembly in the coming few months. So if you're interested in becoming a delegate, be sure to let one of the board members know. There'll probably be an application form online at some point, and we'll make sure you know about that. I was interested in hearing Margot mention the fact that in 2008, was it? Or maybe a little earlier than that, the General Assembly was changed from Phoenix because they refused to pass the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday to Palm Springs. Well, in 2012, I'm sure of that date, we had another assembly in Phoenix called the Justice Assembly. And my portfolio for the board is social justice. And I was the Arizona planner for this General Assembly that helped the GA committee. Well, in 2011, when I started going to meetings to start planning this GA, Arizona passed House Bill 1060, which a lot of you will remember, another social justice injustice to some of the citizens of our state and some of the other people in our state who are just as valuable to us as anyone else. And so, again, the committee said, oh, we're going to boycott Phoenix. We're getting out of there. We're not going to have our GA in Phoenix. And some of us argued against that. And it turned out we decided, yes, we will stand up to the people in Phoenix. And we will hold our General Assembly there, and we will make it all about social justice. And one of the highlights of that I remember was the candlelight vision, yes, at Sheriff Joe Arpaio's jail. And we bussed delegates out there, we bussed all the people there that we could, and they stood out there singing and holding their candles high. So we need, here at this church, to get our social justice program back online. We have a member of this church who is a winter visitor who has volunteered to start the Social Justice Council up again. However, we need one of you in this audience this morning who is here full-time to say, yes, I will help this person with this, and I'll keep it going during the summers when she's not here. Our voices as a congregation are much louder than the individual work we do, which I know many of us do, for social justice. So if you are the least bit interested in this, please see me over in the social hall. And one other thing, you heard we made over $2,000 on our rummage sale. The Holly Near concert this past Thursday night was also a rousing success. The over 200 people who attended, and it was great seeing that line out around the building waiting to get in, were treated to a mix of powerful music and inspiring stories, and it was a wonderful outreach to our community, and we made a profit for the church. So thanks to everyone who made it possible, including the entire UUCT staff and many fabulous volunteers. And along the same line, another fundraiser that's very important to the church is coming up in February. That's our annual auction, and we need a co-chair for that as well. So please talk to me about that today. Thank you.
So we have, what a better time to introduce a new song by our own Margot Garcia. This is called Come In, and it's a welcome song for the children. I'll sing it once, and then I'm hoping you'll stand and sing it with me a second time. So here we go. Come in, please enter and come near. Come in, we're glad that you are here. You're learning, you're growing, just as we are too. We're thinking, we're singing, we're glad to share this space with you. Everybody together? Come in, please enter and come near. Come in, we're glad that you are here. You're learning, you're growing, just as we are too. We're thinking, we're singing, we're glad to share this space with you. Thank you.
World premiere. I love it. That was so cute. Thank you. So I'm Reverend Jameely. I know. It's still odd to say. I have long brown hair tied back. I wear glasses and I'm light-skinned. And I have on my beautiful Love Rainbow stole today, which I love, in honor of our affirmed shared values. We've been talking about them a lot today, and we're going to put them up here on the screen again. And I just want to say the words out loud: love, interdependence, and pluralism. Next slide. We have justice, transformation, generosity, and equity. And on your paper, you can read the whole long description of them. But let's just look at the words. Next slide. Right, this is a list of 7 words, and science tells us that we can probably remember them all, but we will remember them better with a memory aid, right? So if we take just the letters of our, next slide, if we take just the letters of our words, we have the letters. The first letters are L, P, T, E, I, J, G. Now, one of the things that the folks who wrote this article revision said that the order doesn't matter. What matters is love is at the center. Love connects all of them, and all of them connect to each other. So the order of these words doesn't matter. So if you really like P first, P pluralism, right, we can put P first. So a lot of us are trying to figure out some mnemonics to help us remember these. This is one I put together, Jigglepet. J-I-G-L-P-E-T. Justice, interdependence, generosity, love, pluralism, transformation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so Jigglepet. So here's another one, next slide. Just leaders plan to get into environmentalism. It doesn't have to be a single word or a couple words. It could be, a phrase that helps us remember what these values are. And all of our brains work differently. Some people really like the visuals, right? So you've seen several different visuals today to help us remember what these values are. So here's your challenge. Next slide. I want to invite you to use the letters of these values to create your own mnemonic. Your mnemonic could be a word or a phrase. It could be a visual representation like art of some kind. If you're way into movement, maybe you want to do an interpretive dance for us of what these values mean to you. You are welcome to work with your neighbor. You're welcome to brainstorm. You should have an index card if you want to write stuff down. If you don't, raise your hand, and we'll get you an index card and a pencil. So I'm going to give you not very much time, 2 minutes. The letters are up here, LIPJTGE. Be creative and go. Jiggle pet. Put any ones you can think of. Any mnemonic you like. We'll talk about that. I struggle with that big. Yeah. I spent way too much time looking for it. So I just wrote one. You have less than 1 minute left. Well, it was really interesting when that went around because so many people were like, like a jet thing doesn't help me, but a set of steps. Like, all good boys eat fudge, whatever. Like that's how all boys do fine. Okay, there's your time. Okay, so in the very limited time I gave you, who's got some brilliance? What have we got? Nina. Jay Piglet. We're going to talk about Jay Piglet. We've got some over here. Let's play together just in time, but educational games. Love it. Do we have another one? You got that? Our corner might be winning here. Who else has got one? Frank? Love is the great process of everything. Oh, that could be our mission. AV and then Miriam. Please let it go, just enjoy today. Miriam, say it loud. Okay. Okay. Live in plural justice together. Love it. Look how creative we are in such little time. Okay, so here's some I found around the world on the interwebs. So this one is just each of the words connected with lots of lines together with love at the center. How about the next one? These ones you've seen. So the left one is the love at the center, like the flower petal. And I really liked the atom on the right. So it's like, draws in the science component, right? I like that one. And then these next ones are created by some of my colleagues in religious education. So the one on the left is a door sign people are putting up with love in the middle and then the petals. And the one here on the right is different colored flower petals with just symbols, like symbols of what these words are. Do we need the words all the time? And the next one, we have another flower with love at the center, and each of the words is a flower petal. And then our colleague up in Phoenix, our religious educator up in Phoenix, made this art with a heart with each of the words and hands of love holding it up, right? Kind of looks like a chalice holding up love in it. Let's see the next slide. So here's Jet Pig. Jet Pig came out very organically out of early religious educators. You know, we wear silly hats all the time. To help us remember justice, equity, transformation. That's Jet. Pluralism, interdependence, generosity, pig. Some people say Jet L Pig to put love in the center. Get it? So, can we see the next slide? So here's the pig stuffies. People are finding pig and attaching jetpacks to the little pigs. He looks like a javelina. I suggested at one point we put a jetpack on Sonora. Right? And will we enact these values when pigs fly? So there's our question, right? There's some objections to jet pig because people are saying, oh, is this the core of our values is, this silly little cartoon? And I would argue no, right? We're trying to remember and help all of us and our young people remember what these values are. So when somebody says, what happens at your church? What do you argue for? What do you believe? We have a way to remember easily what those things are. So I want to encourage us to think about what our own representation of our values might be and to be open as other people define theirs.
Okay, let's finish this out with the fire of commitment. This is 1028 in the teal hymnal, and the words will be up on the screen. Please rise as you're able. From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set. A fire of commitment, and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then a promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. Please be seated. And now, as we extinguish our chalice flame, go in blessing, beloved community, and be a blessing to a world that needs our care. Be a blessing to a world that needs our care.